This video works through problem 7.7 from Gapenski's Healthcare Finance, 6th edition. Okay, in 7.7, we're going to be doing ABC, or applying ABC to a laboratory, so ABC techniques. So the first thing, what I've done here is I've copied the table for 7.7 into Excel. And part A asks us to calculate the allocation rate for each activity. All right, so we're given, so let's review what we're given. We've got 5 different activities: receive, set up, run, record, and transmit. We're given the total costs. And then we're told what the driver is for each of the costs. Now this, conveniently, it's only 2 different drivers. The first driver is number of tests, and the other driver is the number of minutes per test. So what we need to do to get the allocation rate per activity, let me wrap that real quick, is we need to get the total for the driver. So total units. So in this case, receive is just number of tests. So what we have for A, we're going to do 2,000 tests, B 1,500, C 1,000, D 500. So we're just going to add up all 4 total, or total the number of tests. So 5,000 tests, 2,000 plus 1,500 is 3,500, plus 1,000 is 4,500, plus 500 is 5,000, right? So then to get the allocation rate, we're going to divide the total annual cost of 10,000 by the number of tests, and we're going to get $2 per test. So now we've got to do the rest of these. Unfortunately, they require a little bit of arithmetic to get there, right? So for setup through transmit, we need the total number of minutes performed, and then we'll calculate the allocation rate per minute. Whereas we're going to be doing $2 per test, what we want is how much per minute does setup cost. So in order to get the cost per minute, we need the total number of minutes of service. So what does that entail? Well, what it entails is multiplying the number of minutes that we spend on A times 2,000 tests. So that's going to be 10,000 minutes of setup being spent on A. 5 times 1,500, that's 7,500 minutes for B. 10 times 1,000, or 10,000 minutes for C, and then 10 times 500, or 5,000 for A. We're going to add all that up, and that'll give us our total minutes. So I'm going to do that using Excel. So I'm going to say 5 times 2,000 plus 5 times 1,500 plus 10 times 1,000 plus 10 times 500. So total number of minutes of setup that we're doing is 32,500. Let me just make that look a little nicer. Okay, and then since we know how many total minutes we're doing and we have a total cost of 25,000, the allocation rate per minute of setup is going to be $25,000 divided by 32,500 minutes, and that gives us, I'm going to round those. In fact, get this one to give us, there we go. Now everything looks nice. Okay, now we'll do the same thing for run. Run, to run a test A takes 1 minute, but we do it 2,000 times, so 2,000 times 1. To run B, it takes 5 minutes, so 5 times 1,500. To run C, it takes 10 minutes, so 10 times 1,000. and then D takes 20 minutes, so 20 times 500. So we're going to do that here. So 1 times 2,000 plus 5 minutes for B times 1,500 tests plus 10 minutes for C times 1,000 tests plus 20 minutes for D times 500 tests gives us 29,000 total minutes of run. And then to calculate the cost per minute for running, we're going to take 100,000 divided by the 29,500 minutes, and that gives us $3.39 per minute. Finally, we're going to do the same thing for record and transmit. So that's going to be 2 minutes of recording times 2,000 minutes for A plus 2 minutes of recording times 1,500 for B plus 2 minutes to record the results of C times 1,000 C plus 4 minutes of recording for D times 500 test Ds gives us 11,000 total minutes of recording. So the cost of recording is 10,000 divided by 11,000 minutes of recording gives us a cost of 91 cents per minute. And finally, transmit is 3 minutes per C times 2,000 plus 3 minutes times 1,500 tests for B times 3 minutes plus 3 minutes times 1,000 tests for C plus 3 minutes times 500. That can't be right. Something went wrong there. Do it again. 3 times 2,000 plus 3 times 1,500 plus 3 times 1,000 plus 3 times 500, 15,000. There we go. That's better. And we'll take the cost of transmission, which is 5,000, divided by the total minutes of service for transmission, which is 15,000. That gives us 33 cents per minute. So these are the allocation rates, right? Receive is going to be $2 per test, and then setup, run, record, and transmit are each in terms of minutes. So 0.77 cents per minute for setup, 3.39 for for run, 0.91 cents for record, and 33 for transmit. All right, so part B says, using the allocation rate, estimate the total cost of performing each test. All right, so total cost per test. Let me just copy that down here. And we'll copy the names. So how much does it cost for A to receive? Well, we're going to do, and we want it per test. Okay, so we know we do 2,000 tests, but what we're trying to calculate here is the cost of doing a single test A, and then the cost of doing a single test B, the cost of doing a single test C, and the cost of doing a single test D. Well, what we calculated was the allocation rate for receive was $2 per test. So for each of these, they're only received once, regardless of what kind of test they are. So the receive cost contribution is 2 for all of them. So I'm just going to put 2 in for all of them here. So that's pretty straightforward. And then I'm going to set this up to be an accounting format. Now where it starts to get different is we have different numbers of minutes to set up each of these tests. So to set up test A, it takes 5 minutes, right? We can go back up here and see test A, it takes 5 minutes. So we're going to say 5 minutes of setup times the allocation rate per minute for setup is 77 cents. So 5 times 77 cents gives us 385. Then for B, it's going to be 5 times 77 cents. For C, it's going to be 10 minutes times 77 cents. And for D, it's going to be 10 minutes times 77 cents. And what you can see is the difference here is we're using the same rate, but we get different numbers based on how many minutes of time it takes to set up. Now run is 1 minute for A times $3.39. For B, running is 5 minutes times $3.39. Running for C is 10 minutes times $3.39. And then running for D is 20 minutes times $3.39. Finally, recording, not finally, second to last, recording for A is 2 minutes times a cost of 91 cents per minute. For B, it's 2 minutes times 91 cents. For C, it's 2 minutes times 91 cents. And for D, it's 4 minutes times 91 cents. And now finally, for A, transmission is 3 minutes times 33 cents per minute. And this is going to be true all across, right? So I'm not going to bother, right, because they're all 3 minutes. So I'm just going to say it's the same. Okay, so total cost is just the sum of the column, right? So I'm just adding, I'm going to add these up to figure out how much it costs to do test A. Well, test A costs $12.05. And I'll just copy that across. So these numbers now are the sums of each of the columns. So cost $12.05 to do A, $25.61 to do B, $46.41 to do C, and $82.13 to do D. Okay, part C asks us to verify the total annual costs aggregated from the individual tests costs equal the total annual cost of the laboratory given in the table above. So I didn't include in my table here the total. So the total cost for the laboratory is just the sum of the annual cost for each activity. So it's 150,000. So we have now estimated, I'm going to make this just a tiny bit smaller so I can get one more line in. So total cost per test, I should say, per test. If we want to now verify that we've appropriately allocated that 150,000 across each of these tests. So what we can say is, if the annual total for A is going to be the total cost per test times the number of tests that they do, which is 2,000. And so we have 24,000. The annual total for B is going to be the total cost per test for B times the number of B tests that we do. The annual total for C is going to be the cost per test for C times the number of C tests that we do. And finally, the annual total for D is going to be the total cost per test for D times the number of D tests that we do. So, and if we add all those together and they add up to 150,000, then we'll have done it right, and yay. So that's the sum. This is the sum of all four annual totals, and it comes out to 150,000. So that means that our allocation was done correctly.